Hello friends, welcome back again. In this video, we'll talk about how to control your mind. Let's start it this way. You and I as a human, we cannot control somebody else's mind. You cannot control your friend's mind, you cannot control your parents' mind, you cannot control your friend's mind, you cannot control your brother's mind, your sister's mind, you cannot control anybody else's mind. But I really think and believe that you can actually control your mind. And if we cannot actually control our mind, then really there is something really wrong with us. And therefore, to train ourselves how to control our mind is really necessary. So in later part of our video, we'll also talk about our emotion and mind, how they are related, and how our emotion incline towards our mind. In other words, how our feelings are determined by our thinking. And so we'll also talk about that. Now, I want to read out something very fascinating from the Word of God, that is Bible, from the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 8. Here it says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things." So this is something very interesting that I've read from the Word of God. As I was saying, we cannot control anybody's mind. And the only thing we can control in life is our mind, to train our mind. And if we cannot actually train our mind, something is definitely wrong. As we have read Philippians chapter 4 verse 8, think about things that is praiseworthy. Think about things that is true. Think about things that is right. Think about things that really makes you happy. Now, according to cognitive neuroscience, 99% of our processes are unconscious. That is because our brain receives somewhere around 11 million pieces of information every second. When that's the case, we might question, then when 99% of our conscious is unconscious, then what on earth can we say that we can actually control our mind? That's completely impossible. Maybe this is completely my perspective. To me, we can really control our mind, and that is through thinking. What do you think? How do you think matters a lot in controlling our mind. You know what? Let's do this exercise. After you finish watching this video, maybe you can use the comment section and make me know whether it actually worked or not. Take this time to think about an event where a person really mistreated you, where you were embarrassed, where you were humiliated. So as you think about it, you think about a person. Alright? Think about a person who have misunderstood you or who have really mistreated you. So once you think about a person, think about all the words that a person said, right? Maybe all the nonsense that a person have spoken. Now think about the observable behavior that a person has displayed that very moment. So I'm pretty sure once you start thinking about all this, information comes out one after the other. This is how the information that our brain receives gets into our memory. You see, when the information that receives are too strong, really strong, it gets into our long-term memory. And when it's not that strong, it gets into a short-term memory. And so that you remember now, then later you forget about it. But think about your name. No matter how hard you try to forget your name, you will never forget your name, because that name has become such an information, that will store in your long-term memory. And therefore, even if you grow old, you will still remember, because that very information has been retained in your memory. And therefore, no matter how old you grow, you will still remember your name. Forgive me that I've took you to one of your very bad moment of life. So as you think about the horrific moment that you had with a person, now you remembered all the things, you remember all the informations that you don't remember. And so once you start thinking about it, then all the informations that are stored automatically comes out and supplement the thing that you are thinking. So that's how you remember. And the more you think about it, you become angrier and angrier. Then sometimes we often hear, You know what, if you have a real human heart, you should be able to forgive and forget. Alright, it's easy for me to forgive, but it's not easy for me to forget. It's a natural thing that you encounter something, you meet something, you know what, you meet an event. The very particular thing or moment gets into your memory, and when it is stored in your memory, there is no such as delete button in our brain, and therefore sometimes even if I do not wish to remember the bad moments that I had in life, then I'm forced to remember it, right? And the only way to avoid that is by thinking about something else. That's how you divert your mind from what you are thinking. If I say you are watching this video without realizing that you are breathing, when I say this, you suddenly remember that you are breathing, then you are watching this video. Yes, you are learning something from this video maybe, but without realizing that you can actually hear what I'm saying, then you realize that you can hear. So you are watching this video, and you know what, right now you are not aware that you are actually existing in this world. Then suddenly you remember that you are alive. So something like that. There are a lot of things, even in our conscious state, there are a lot of things that we are not conscious about, and not conscious that we are doing actually. That is a terrible pieces of information that we are getting each second. Just imagine 11 million pieces of information that we receive each second, but we are able to regulate and process only 40 details out of which consciously. So that is a terrible thing, and which shows a very less sign that we can actually control our mind. But as I was saying, thinking comes in. You know what you feel right now is determined by what you think. Once you start thinking about the shirt I'm wearing, it's a terrible shirt, then you start thinking about my shirt over and over. Then the more you think about this shirt, it will make you feel that, you know what, I'm getting irritated because of this shirt. This is how actually people fall in love. Even if you meet a person, you know, have a good talk, have a good meeting a person, but if you do not think about the person, the probability for you to fall in love with that person is very less. But you meet a person once, go back home, just think about the person over and over. You know, you have met the person just once, but the probability for you to fall in love with that person is very high because you think about the person over and over again. So this is the reason behind how thinking affects our emotion, our feelings. You think bad about somebody, then you have a bad feeling about a person. And you think good about a person, then you have a good feeling about a person. So that's how your feelings are determined by your thinking. And therefore, you want to be happy, think about happy things, like the Word of God says. You want to be happy, think about happy things. You want to be confident, think about something that makes you confident. And so it grows. So the only thing in life we can control is our mind. And if we cannot actually control our mind, then that is terrible answer that we are having today. Because you know what, addiction happens when we cannot actually control our mind. We get mad at a person and we start to have a fist fight. You know what, I want to punch a person, I can really punch a crack out of his face. When I have that thinking of a person, I have a reckless feeling towards the person, and therefore I'm not scared to fight a person, I'm not scared to hurt a person. So as I was saying, how you think about things, what do you think about? So that is the answer, that either gives you a positive effect or a very negative effect. A lot of studies has been done in the field of psychology here. When you actually have a confidence, when you actually have the attitude that you can achieve, then you have a higher probability that you can achieve. Whereas when you have a skilled, when you have the potential of achieving, but when you do not possess that attitude, when you do not possess that level of confidence, there is lesser probability for you to achieve things. That is why we can actually forgive a person for what they have done in our life. But it's so hard for us to forgive, because when we start thinking about the event, then you remember a person. Then when you remember the person, you also remember the person's action. You also remember the person's words all the nonsense that a person spoke, then you also think about, your mind go elsewhere. So that's how crazy it becomes when you start thinking negatively. There are informations that are stored in our memory, which we cannot remember actually. But once you start thinking about something, all the information comes out of the memory, and therefore you remember all the little details of whatever you are thinking about. You are thinking about good, about people, all the tiny informations that you cannot remember normally, you'll be able to remember it. And therefore, think good about people, think good about things. That's how it can really change. So that's the end of today's video. I really hope that you have learned something from this video. If you have actually learned something from this video, then please consider subscribing in case you have not subscribed yet. And if there is anybody that you think need to watch this video, please share this video, and really hope to see you in the next video.